Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is GGF, bringing you episode 27 of the Elder Scrolls 3 Open Morrowind version with a bunch of mods. Hope you guys are doing well and ready to check out some modded Morrowind with me. So I said today we were going to read a bit of the books that we've been carrying because they're heavy and worth money, and I want to offload them. So let's go ahead and start with that.
I'll never
Okay.
get this stain out.
Sorry to hear. Okay, so let's check out what we're working with here. Let's see. 36 Lessons of Vivek, Sermon 18. Let's see this on sericulture. Regarding the proper care of moths and production of pure silks according to the ancient precepts of Nibenum by Siso Meseroth. To make silk is not the action of spinning a thread, caring for a worm, or weaving a cloak. To make silk is an act of piety, an invocation to the ancestors, a sign of respect to the divines, and a communion to the Furon of Moth. The cloak you wear is no dead and empty yarn, but a song unwound, receptive to the inner world. Therefore, when practicing the noble art of sericulture and the weaving of silks, one must heed the words of the master and not stray from the path of ceremony and tradition, lest the thread you spin is abominable. In this text, Siso of the clan Meseroth has gathered the words and wisdoms of the hermits that it may be a guide to the initiate. These are the spirits of Moth as may be known by the initiate. The gypsy moth, the lowest and most common of the spirits prone to wander. The lesser spirits are many, and it is not demanded to record lineage. The gypsy feeds on offal and bone meal, but avoids the remnants of man or bull. Their silk is coarse and strong, ill-suited for dyes and precise work. Their issue is used to make simple cloth for the common man and his industries. It may be made into sailor silk, which is good for sails and ropes. The gypsy moth cannot hold the furon of man or beast, and to boil the worm in extraction is no misdeed, provided one speaks the proper mantra. These may be actual enemies in the game, by the way. The Sphinx moth, a good and obedient spirit. The Sphinx is loyal, but ignorant of its station. It is demanded to name and record firstborn, so that the spirit is pleased. If not, the thread may be warped. The Sphinx will feed on the remnants of beasts and prefers domesticated over those of the jungle. Its issue is fine and pliant, and takes well to bright and pleasing dyes, but is ill-suited to use for the arts. The Sphinx may hold the furon of simple beasts and is valued by the totem societies. It is demanded that the firstborn be extracted with care and live. Others of a brood may be boiled, provided one speaks the proper mantra. Or this is something we can do in the game. It's kind of weird, I'm not sure. The glyph moth, an unruly and arrogant spirit, the glyph recoils from the cadaver and feeds on the written word, book, scroll, and text. Superior cloth may be created by providing a careful selection of culturally superior and beneficial literature, like the Imperial Codice. It is not demanded to record lineage, for this family has good memory of its own. The glyph moth is a dangerous and rebellious spirit, and discipline must be maintained. Its silk is coarse and brittle, difficult to use, but holds great potential for arts. When used in paper, may make magical scrolls of great power. So maybe that's what this is. Making of scrolls and such. The Luna Moth, a rare and pious spirit that has dedicated itself to the divine Dibella. The Luna is transformed in devotion so that it has no mouth or digestive organs. Thus it exists only to copulate and perish of starvation. In this it honors the divine Dibella greatly. The silk of their Luna is to be used in sacred vestments and the bed sheets of newlyweds. The Luna is to be cultivated by priests and honorables of the orders, and as such it is often mistreated as these are ignorant. Yet try to record lineage, for thread may be warped. The Ancestor Moth. Greatest and most powerful of the spirits of Moth, the Ancestor Moth is the willing carrier of the Furon of mankind. It is required to record proper lineage in all cases. The Ancestor Moth may only feed on the bodies of mortals, and in consuming their flesh will absorb the Furon, the will to peace, of the deceased and the continuum of ancestors. The silk of the Ancestor Moth holds dyes of all kinds most excellently, and it is well suited to even the most ambitious applications of the arts. There is no enchantment it cannot hold. This silk may only be used in the creation of ancestor cloth, which, by transcribing the proper lineage, may then become the focal point of the Furon of one's ancestors, who will aid and abet the wearer. To use the issue of the Ancestor Moth for any other purpose is an abomination. Furthermore, the worm may not be boiled or harmed in any way, and the silk must be harvested by hand with great care by unspooling the cocoons. This can be accomplished by the proper mantras and the usage of soothing alchemicals and proper encouragement for the nascent moth. So this is crazy. Like, this might be different types of cloth that we can buy clothing made from, and it has different properties. That is really wild. It could just be lore too, but now reading that, I really hope that's in the game. That's really cool. Let's read this guide to ancestral tombs. A Fetcher's Guide to Ancestral Tombs by Unknown. Should you have curiously glanced at the contents of this book with the hope you would be instructed on how to spot the richest family tombs in Morrowind, those belonging to the patriots and nobles of this great nation, or resting places simply overflowing with valuables, then this is the book for you, you disgusting Inwa. Be you an ignorant empire-supporting outlander, or a morally revolting Telvanni asset, you will at some point feel the overwhelming need to enter the sacred halls of our ancestors and desecrate them with your filthy being and your greedy, selfish hearts. If it's stealing the most insignificant family heirloom or breaking the seal of their burial altars and removing their corpses for necromantic purposes that attracts you and the common breed of low-life fetcher, then you should receive all help in that course you are due. An ancestral tomb has but one use, and that is, of course, to provide anyone with enough grotesque callousness, a means by which to line their pockets with the worldly goods of the deceased. Nominally, they are also a place where the ashes of decent, upstanding Dunmer are housed, but that is a trifling matter of absolutely no consequence. Although it is but a nuisance to the facade of spotless perfection, one can be unfortunate enough to mar one's boots with the cremated remains, so all caution should be taken. While quite similar to the ash blown about in Vardenfell's ash storms, the ash of our ancestors is quite distinct. Such ash is especially hard to remove from clothing and armor, so one should seek the aid of tribunal temple officials. Because they frequent ash pits, they have seen the need for a concoction to remove the ash. Simply present yourself to the nearest temple authority, inform them of your need, and they are sure to get you sorted out. Ancestral tombs are guarded by spirits bound to protect our ancestors, but their effectiveness of keeping out the unwelcome extends only so far. Apparently, not to the extent of forcing you careless fools at bay, so as to deter you from disturbing their peaceful resting. However, it is not simply any weapon that one should use. It seems that every form of undead can only be harmed by weapons below a certain standard of quality, a weapon not enchanted made of a cruder material than silver. To one who shows so much interest in this book, though, I would suggest you go up against one of the spiritual guardians without a range of spells or a finer weapon. The reasoning for this is simple enough to understand. The guardians of our tombs have a certain magical aspect to them. and so ignore or absorb equipment that is also magical. It is only when faced with blades unlike their substance, such as unremarkable iron, that they falter. This is written like to get you taken out in these tombs, basically. False information. When stealing from the dead, only the most rudimentary thieving skills are required. Many of our finer tombs bear locks, so the intelligent pilferer of goods. There's the bells of the Ebon Tower in the distance. Many of our finer tombs bear locks, so the intelligent pilferer of goods will bring along a set of lockpicks. However, one need not bother with probes. Ancestral tombs are often visited by properly reverend Dunmer, and none of us want to risk accidental injury by triggering a trap long forgotten. Why, one could break doors down with impunity in any Dunmeri ancestral tomb. One not even needs worry about guardian spirits following through open doorways, as these are bound to the room they patrol. See, it's all lies. Stupidius Outlanderius, the imperial barbarian, before entering a tomb once asked himself, would the Dunmer approve of this? Oh, Stupidius, please do go ahead. After all, when have the disrespectful Enwa elite like you ever cared about the approval of the Dunmer people? Yes, quite right, never. Go ahead, and shatter the urns containing the last remains of our honored forefathers. Be our guest in fulfilling the endeavor of pouching the physical belongings of this plane our ancestors cared about most. As long as imperial law sanctions such a travesty, you'll be able to bag the belongings of the deceased without a single doubt of your sterling character. This is the only one reason among many why we native Dunmer are so thankful for the presence of Urin El Septum's honorable legions here in Morrowind. One might ask how it is that the legions can ignore such a thing when Dunmer society so clearly deems it wrong. While true that our backward society would indeed frown upon such a thing, the just cause of the looter is illegally protected, although law exists in accordance with the treaty signed by the simple barbarous man you've later revered as a god. Blessedly crooked imperial officials have long ignored the rights afforded our dead, all very much to your liking and profit, and I implore you take advantage. In conclusion, merry adventuring, scum. That was awesome. I never read that before. Imperial Heraldry in Morrowind. This one looks pretty interesting. It's illustrated. Guide to Imperial Heraldry in Morrowind. Written and illustrated by Dolemus Heth Surum. The Imperial Dragon. Looks like the Skyrim Dragon. The most recognized symbol of the Empire, few are aware that the Imperial Dragon is in fact of foreign origin. Emperor Raymond Cyrodiil assumed it from the Saci of Akavir after his victory over them at Pale Pass in First Era 2703, when the awestruck snakemen hailed him as Dragon's Blood. The dragon has been the sigil of the Empire and its Dragon Blood Emperors ever since. To honor the 8 divines, the beast is stylized in the shape of a diamond with 4 corners and 4 sides. The diamond above the dragon was added in the 3rd era to denote Tiber Septim or Talos as the 9th divine. Oh, never noticed that. The diamond up here. The Royal Wolf. Also known as the Wolf of Symmachus, this emblem serves as the official sigil of the King of Morrowind and can be seen in the banners of the Royal Palace in Mournhold. Originally the personal coat of arms of General Symmachus, a trusted servant of Tiber Septim, it later became the symbol for Morrowind's newly formed royal house after the province's annexation by the Empire. The wolf symbolizes the king's loyalty to the standing emperor, as it once symbolized Symmachus's ardent loyalty to Tiber Septim himself. Notice how the dragon motif is completely absent in this King Helseth version of the sigil, whereas it was still present during King Lethan's reign. The double-headed eagle. Double-headed eagle was first brought to Morrowind by the Nords of Skyrim under King Viraji in the early First Era. Associating the eagle with their matron deity Kine, the Nords would paint the symbol on their faces and shields, hoping to win the goddess's favor. After King Viraji ended his successful campaign in Morrowind, the eagle, traditionally shown swooping up from Atmora, was revised to have two heads looking in opposite directions, signifying the Nord's dominance over both East and West, fiery Dunmeth and frigid Skyrim. It was only natural that the Empire would adopt the already well-known sigil for itself, after conquering both provinces, placing the Imperial Dragon above the eagle. Ah. Twin lions. Very cool. The lion, don't regard this one. The lion as a heraldic motif can be traced all the way back to Second Era High Rock. Some 800 years ago, it served as the standard of King Emeric of Wayrest and later became a symbol for the whole Iliac Bay region. It might be surprising to encounter such a Western symbol so far away in the east, but the reason for the lion's popularity in Morrowind lies in the province's recent history. Berenzia, the Queen Mother of Morrowind, was also the Queen of Wayrest during her period of exile. A popular notion is that the two lions represent her royal children, Helseth and Morgaya, who spent a great deal of their lives in Wayrest, where they received a Western noble's upbringing, hence being depicted as lions. This is the Vaynth worm. Oh, that's the dragon from Ebonheart. A fine example of a more recent rendition of the Imperial Dragon is the Vaynth worm, or the Vaynth worm, which has been around for only a little over 2 decades. Named after the controversial Simulacrum era Duchess Vaynth of Firewatch, who commissioned it in 3rd Era 394, the worm has been the official sigil of the Imperial stronghold ever since. The coat of arms depicts a fire-breathing dragon standing on guard atop the famous Firewatch lighthouse. The aggressiveness of the beast is due to a civil war that took place between Firewatch and its rival Old Ebonheart at the time of its creation. In fact, the original Vaynth worm was reversed horizontally so it breathed fire to west, towards Old Ebonheart. The Fighters Guild coat of arms, cool. Originally a mercenary fighting force of the Akaviri Potentate, the Fighters Guild was awarded its coat of arms by the Imperial College of Arms in the signing of the Guild Act in 2nd Era 321. The Guild's sigil is stylized after a heraldic achievement. It consists of a plain black and white shield with crossed longswords in the background. In the original 2nd Era design, were curved and single-edged after Akaviri fashion, though nowadays the arms in the background are allowed to vary depending on the region where the particular guild chapter operates. Oh, that's cool. For example, a chapter in Skyrim might use crossed axes instead of longswords. The Mages Guild coat of arms, the Eye. The oldest Empire-sanctioned guild in existence, the Mages Guild coat of arms is definitely unique and exotic in design. The origin story of the coat of arms remains a mystery. Some say Vanus Galerian himself first drew it, but as for the symbol itself, there are 2 popular interpretations. First, it clearly resembles the star constellation of Ritual, a charge of the Mage constellation. Second, it symbolizes the Eye of Magnus, the primordial god of sorcery, known to those who are uninitiated in the arcane mysteries simply as the sun. Indeed, both the sun and the stars are known by mages and astronomers as gateways, through which magicka flows to our mortal plane. Oh, we saw that. Insignia of the Imperial Navy. It's a worm and a crest, derived from the sigil of the Tamrielic All-Flags Navy. The Empire's naval insignia depicts the dragon of Akatosh curled up in the shape of a ship's wheel with 8 spokes. The body of Akatosh represents Cyrodiil itself, while the diamond spokes protruding from the dragon's wings represent the projection of imperial power over the other 8 provinces of Tamriel. The wheel can also be seen as a simplified representation of the 9 divines, Akatosh being the center figure surrounded by the other 8 divines. That's very cool too. And that is the last one, I guess. Yep. So that's 3 books down. I think we'll just be happy with those 3 right now and head towards the pawnbroker again, the rare goods broker, and we'll sell them to her. Yaguz Grodala Clothier. That could be interesting in a bit.
Damn locals.
The Fetcher's Pawn. That is a pawn shop.
The Nine and the Empire, citizen.
I
Indeed.
will listen, Outlander, but make it
My
quick.
prices are reasonable.
This is the Fetcher's Pawn, the go-to pawn shop for assorted gear and knickknacks. You have 600 gold, so that's good. I will pawn Imperial Heraldry, on Sericulture, Guide to Ancestral Tombs. And let's see, do we have any gold? We have 34 gold, so we're not getting anything. Give me a little light. It's only 15 seconds of light, not very good. Alright, so amethyst. There's the diamond, we sold it. Or sold her. Emeralds. Plate, okay. Yeah, we're good on lockpicks and probes. Okay. Total sold 122. I want 132. Nice. Any rumors? The last batch of Legion recruits were ordered straight for Cyrodiil after their basic training ended. Everybody is wondering that if that will be the case with the next batch and the batch after that. Some faint-hearted souls are even worried that if the unrest in Cyrodiil City continues to grow, they might call the legions back altogether, but that's unlikely. Unrest in Cyrodiil City. How short memories do these Imperials have? Some of us still remember what turmoil the Imperial Simulacrum brought to Morrowind. Famine and war. Those were dark and chaotic times, and I fear those times could return all too easily. Okay. Back to Old Ebonheart and
The Nine and the Empire, citizen.
Yes, I heard you the first time, sir. The Mother Alessia. I don't know what this could be. Let's head to the Clothier and see, let's see what your deal is.
How can I help you?
Nice hat, sir. Welcome to Old Ebonheart, citizen. A slice of Cyrodiil in these ass-stricken lands. What's your background? I am Cordus Tardion, sharpshooter. Sharpshooter? I am a sharpshooter. I make my living as a mercenary working on short contracts as a caravan guard, or expedition escort, or for long-term contracts to nobles or merchants. I have mastered the various marksman weapons and can train you in their use for a modest fee. Doesn't look like you train, though. Little secret? The sewers that run underneath Old Ebonheart provide shelter for the most wretched of citizens. The sewers also serve as a means for shady people to move from one location to another unseen, or even gain entrance to otherwise restricted areas. One should be wary when exploring them, though. There's no telling what's lurking there in the dark. Okay. Alright, let's check out the Clothier, guys. I know some of you may want to get to an adventure where, like, we're out, you know, fighting enemies and stuff. Trust me, we'll get there. If you want to skip these episodes, you know, I definitely understand, but this is just how I play these games, so bear with me. Special for Tamrio. It's got some nice shoes on display. You, sir, are looking fantastic.
Say your business.
Wow. I don't know you. What do you want? What's your background? I am Gradaluk, warrior. Must be his wife. Orc? They call us barbarians because we are brave in war and we laugh at hardship. But we have earned our citizenship by service in the legions, and we are as civilized as any race. We make the finest weapons and armor in the world, and our warriors are the bravest and toughest in Tamriel. Latest rumors. There's been reports of a new cult called the Sixth House springing up on Vardenfell. They've been linked to the murders of dozens of innocent people they deem to be outlanders. Little advice. Worn out weapons and armor work poorly. Repair them yourself if you have some skill, or take them to a smith for repair. Okay. See if you have anything for us.
There is much to discuss, much to learn.
Indeed. I don't think we've been introduced, traveler. I'm Yaguz Grod Daluk. Yaguz Grod Daluk. Background? I'm a clothier. Your trade? I'm a clothier. I make clothes and sell them. I also buy clothes in good condition. With a little work, I can make them good as new when we sell them. Mostly I make and sell the local fare, but I sometimes stock more exotic clothing. Can't see what he's got. Expensive. No exquisite, though. Exquisite amulet. We have an exquisite amulet, I guess. The Grave Ward amulet. Exquisite shoes, but we're wearing boots for armor. Right? We are wearing boots. We're not wearing boots? Oh, there they are. Bone mold boots. Expensive robe. Plus, if we were to buy an exquisite amulet just to wear every time we wanted to cast one of our, like the Grave Ward amulet, Grave Ward, we'd have to like put it on, I think, in order to cast it. That's when we cycle through these things, through the spell list, cycle through them. When it hits an item, an accessory item, it automatically puts it on. So you'll never have the same stuff on. I think that's how it works. Let's try putting on the Grave Ward amulet. I don't want to sell it. Let's just try putting it on. And now let's see if I cycle through the spells, or through the items. Yeah, see, it puts them on. And next weapon, I'm not sure what the next weapon buttons are. There we go. Buttons right underneath. Now, still have that on. Still have that on. Oh, I guess it worked. The same because we have the right stuff on. No, amulet. Oh, yeah. Huh. Belts of Jack of Trades, though. Fortify Luck. Former Miner's Friend, yeah. Alright, pretty cool, but ultimately nothing here for us. I could stand here. Oh, a loop. Can we use that? No. Bolts of cloth.
Speak quickly.
Might as well explore their house a little bit. Desert Sweet Barrel. Oh, it's locked. I could probably either levitate in there or just unlock the door with Ducey's open door. Got me a little curious. See how the clothiers live. Spools, shears, sewing right by bedside. Sacks of scuttle. With barrels of meat. less rude song. Meadow Rye. I find it funny that we could just do this, but... Alright, so they're very common, very poor folk. Well, I would call them lower middle class, or... they do own a shop with some exquisite stuff and, decent stuff.
Speak quickly.
Alright, I'm going to head out. Be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Oh, I accidentally got recording before I was set up, but I cannot believe we are 30 minutes in, guys. Might as well read a bit more. Let's read 2920 Frostfall. Oh, this one's pretty long, but it'll be good to end the episode with. Frostfall, Book 10 of 2920, The Last Year of the First Era by Karlovac Townway. This should be interesting. 10 Frostfall 2920, Phrygius High Rock. The creature before them blinked, senseless, its eyes glazed, mouth opening and closing as if relearning its function. A thin glob of saliva burbled down between its fangs and hung suspended. Turala had never seen anything of its kind before, reptilian and massive, perched on its hind legs like a man. Ministera applauded enthusiastically. "My child," she crowed, "you have come so far in so short a time. What were you thinking when you summoned this Daedroth?" It took Turala a moment to recall whether she was thinking anything at all. She was merely overwhelmed that she had reached out across the fabric of reality into the realm of oblivion and plucked forth this loathsome creature, conjuring it into the world by the power of her mind. "I was thinking of the color red," Turala said, concentrating, "the simplicity and clarity of it. And then I desired and spoke the charm, and this is what I conjured up." "Desire is a powerful force for a young witch," said Ministera, "and it is well matched in this instance, for this Daedroth is nothing if not a simple force of the spirits. Can you release your desire as easily?" Turala closed her eyes and spoke the dismissal invocation. The monster faded away like a painting in sunlight, still blinking confusedly. Ministera embraced her dark elf pupil, laughing with delight. "I would never have believed it. A month and a day you've been with the Coven, and you're already far more advanced than most of the women here. There is powerful blood in you, Turala. You touch spirits like you were touching a lover. You'll be leading this coven one day. I have seen it." Turala smiled. It was good to be complimented. The Duke of Mournhold had praised her pretty face, and her family, before she had dishonored them, praised her manners. Kassir had been nothing more than a companion. His compliments meant nothing. But with Ministera, she felt she was home. "You'll be leading the coven for many years yet, great sister," said Turala. "I certainly intend to, but the spirits, while marvelous companions and faultless tellers of truth, are often hazy about the when and how. You can't blame them, really. When and how mean so little to them." Ministera opened the door to the shed, allowing the brisk autumn breeze in to dispel the bitter and fetid smells of the Daedroth. "Now, I need you to run an errand to Wayrest. It's only a week's ride there, and a week's ride back. Bring Doriatha and Celafina with you. As much as we try to be self-sufficient, there are herbs we can't grow here, and we seem to run through an enormous quantity of gems in no time at all. It's important that the people of the city learn to recognize you as one of the wise women of Skeffington Coven. You'll find the benefits of being notorious far outweigh the inconveniences." Turala did as she was bade, and as she and her sisters climbed aboard their horses, Ministera brought her child, little 5-month-old Bosriel, to kiss her mother goodbye. The witches were in love with the little Dunmer infant, fathered by a wicked duke, birthed by the wild alien elves in the forest heart of the Empire. Turala knew her nursemaids would protect her child with their lives. After many kisses and a farewell wave, the 3 young witches rode off into the bright woods under the covering of red, yellow, and orange. 12 Frostfall, 2920, Dwinin High Rock. For a midis evening, the least loved Porcupine Tavern was wildly crowded. A roaring fire in the pit in the center of the room cast an almost sinister glow on all the regulars, and made the abundance of bodies look like a punishment tapestry inspired by the Arcturian heresies. Kassir took his usual place with his cousin in order to flag in a veil. "Have you been to see the Baron?" asked Paleth. "Yes, he may have work for me in the palace of Urvias," said Kassir proudly. "But more than that I can't say. You understand, secrets of state and all that. Why are there so many dang people here tonight? A shipload of dark elves just came into harbor. They've come from the war. I was just waiting until you got here to introduce you as another veteran." Kassir blushed, but regained his composure enough to ask, What are they doing here? Has there been a truce?" "I don't know the full story," said Paleth, "but apparently the Empire and Vivek are in negotiations again. These fellows here have investments they were keen to check on, and they figured things on the bay were quiet enough, but the only way we can get the full story is to talk to the chaps." With that, Paleth gripped his cousin's arm and pulled him to the other side of the bar so suddenly, Kassir would have had to struggle violently to resist. The Dunmer travelers were spread out across 4 of the tables, laughing with the locals. They were largely amiable young men, well-dressed, befitting merchants, animated in gesture, made more extravagant by liquor. "Excuse me," said Paleth, intruding on the conversation. "My shy cousin Kassir was in the war as well, fighting for the living god Vivek." "The only Kassir I ever heard of," said one of the Dunmer drunkenly, with his wide friendly smile, shaking Kassir's free hand, "was a Kassir Whitley, who Vivek said was the worst spy in history. We lost Al-Marak due to his bungling intelligence work. For your sake, friend, I hope the two of you were never confused." Kassir smiled and listened as the lout told the story of his failure with bountiful exaggerations, which caused the table to roar with laughter. Several eyes looked his way, but none of the locals sought to explain that the fool of the tale was standing at attention. The eyes that stung the most were his cousin's, the young man who had believed that he had returned to Dwinnen a great hero. Or Dwinnen? At some point, certainly, the Baron would hear about it, his idiocy increasing manifold with each retelling. With every fiber in his soul, Kassir cursed the living god Vivek. 21 Frostfall, 2920, the Imperial City Cyrodiil. Corda, in a robe of blinding whiteness, a uniform of the priestesses of the Hagathi Morwa Conservatorium, arrived in the city just as the first winter storm was passing. The clouds broke with sunlight, and the beauteous, teenaged Redguard girl appeared in the wide avenue with escort, riding toward the palace. While her sister was tall, thin, angular, and haughty, Corda was a small, round-faced lass with wide brown eyes. The locals were quick to draw comparisons. "Not a month after Lady Rija's execution," muttered a housemaid, peering out the window and winking to her neighbor. "And not a month out of the nunnery either," the other woman agreed, reveling in the scandal. "This one's in for a ride. Her sister weren't no innocent, and look where she ended up." 24 Frostfall, 2920, Dwinnen High Rock. Kassir stood on the harbor and watched the early sleet fall on the water. It was a pity, he thought, that he was prone to seasickness. There was nothing for him now in Tamriel to the east or to the west. Vivek's tale of his poor spycraft had spread to taverns everywhere. The Baron of Dwinnen had released him from his contract. No doubt they were laughing about him in Daggerfall too, and Dawnstar, Lilmoth, Rimmon, Greenheart, probably in Akavir and Yokuda for that matter. Perhaps it would be best to drop into the waves and sink. The thought, however, did not stay long in his mind. It was not despair that haunted him, but rage, impotent fury that he could not assuage. "Excuse me, sir," said a voice behind him, making him jump. "I'm sorry to disturb you, but I was wondering whether you could recommend an inexpensive tavern for me to spend the night." It was a young man, a Nord, with a sack over his shoulder. Obviously, he had just disembarked from one of the boats. For the first time in weeks, someone was looking at Kassir as something other than a colossal famous idiot. He could not help, black as his mood was, but be friendly. "You've just arrived from Skyrim?" asked Kassir. "No, sir, that's where I'm going," said the fellow. "I'm working my way home. I've come up from Sentinel, and before that Stroh's Mackay, and before that Woodhearth and Valenwood, and before that Artaeum and Somerset. Wellig's my name." Kassir introduced himself and shook Wellig's hand. "Did you say you came from Artaeum? Are you a Psijic?" "No, sir, not anymore," the fellow shrugged. "I was expelled." Do you know anything about summoning Daedra? You see, I want to cast a curse against a particularly powerful person, one might say a living god, and I haven't had any luck. The Baron won't allow me in his sight, but the Baroness has sympathy for me and allowed me the use of their summoning chambers. Kassir spat. I did all the rituals, made sacrifices, but nothing came of it. That'd be because of Sotha-Sil, my old master, replied Wellig with some bitterness. The Daedra princes have agreed not to be summoned by any amateurs, at least until the war ends. Only the Sijiks may counsel with the Daedra and a few nomadic sorcerers and witches. Witches, did you say? 29 Frostfall, 2920 Phrygius High Rock. Pale sunlight flickered behind the mist, bathing the forest as Tirala, Doriatha, and Celafina drove their horses on. The ground was wet with a thin layer of frost and laden down with the goods. It was a slippery way over unpaved hills. Tirala tried to contain her excitement about coming back to the Coven. Wayrest had been an adventure, and she adored the looks of fear and respect the city folk gave her. But for the last few days, all she could think of was returning to her sisters and her child. A bitter wind whipped her hair forward so she could see nothing but the path ahead. She did not hear the rider approach to her side until he was almost upon her. When she turned and saw Kassir, she shouted with as much surprise as pleasure as meeting an old friend. His face was pale and drawn, but she took it to be merely from travel. What brings you back to Phrygius? She smiled. Were you not treated well in Dwynnen? Well enough, said Kassir. I have need of the Skeffington Coven. Ride with us, said Tirala. I'll bring you to Ministera. The four continued on, and the witches regaled Kassir with tales of Wayrest. It was evident that it was also a rare treat for Doriatha and Celafina to leave old Barbin's farm. They had been born there as daughters and granddaughters of Skeffington witches. Ordinary High Rock city life was exotic to them as it was to Tirala. Kassir said little but smiled and nodded his head, which was encouragement enough. Thankfully, none of the stories they had heard were about his own stupidity, or at the very least they did not tell him. Doriatha was in the midst of a tale she had heard in a tavern about a thief who had been locked overnight in a pawn shop when they had crossed over a familiar hill. Suddenly she halted in her story. The barn was supposed to be visible, but it was not. The other three followed her gaze into the fog, and a moment later they rode as fast as they could towards what was once the site of the Skeffington Coven. The fire had long since burned out. Nothing but ashes, skeletons, and broken weaponry remained. Kassir recognized at once the sign of an orc raid. The witches fell from their horses, racing through the remains, wailing. Celafina found a tattered, bloody piece of cloth that she recognized from Ministera's cloak. She held it to her ashen face, sobbing. Tirala screamed for Bosriel, but the only reply was the high whistling wind through the ashes. Who did this? She cried, tears streaking down her face. I swear I'll conjure up the very flames of oblivion. What have they done with my baby? I know who did it, said Kassir quietly, dropping from his horse and walking towards her. I've seen these weapons before. I fear I met the very fiends responsible in Dwynnen, but I never thought they'd find you. This is the work of assassins hired by the Duke of Mournhold. He paused. The lie came easily. Adopt and improvise. What's more, he could tell instantly if she believed it. Her resentment over the cruelty the Duke had shown her had quieted but never disappeared. One look at her burning eyes told him that she would summon the Daedra and wreak his and her revenge upon Morrowind, and what's more, he knew they'd listen. And listen they did, for the power is greater than desire is rage, even rage misplaced. For the power that is greater than desire is rage, even rage misplaced. Wow, that was really awesome. Told that lie to get the remaining witches to attack the Duke of Mournhold.
Now, where did I put that?
Very cool. Now we'll head off we'll head to the pawn right here and sell this book.
The Nine and the Empire.
Quickly, Outlander. I haven't much time.
Frostfall, it's worth 275. And we're down to 148. The 200 is going to go away as soon as the blessing of Talos goes away, I think. 275, 132. Again, is there anything we want? Imperial Dragon Scale Curious, it's 24 weight though. Which if we were to get it, we'd have 3 pounds to spare pretty much, so that's a no-go. Not yet, anyway. Fortify personality. Pretty much just on and in type stuff. We haven't been out to really wear down our gear. 155. 152. Come on, do 152. Alright. 149. We won't do 149? Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Back out for a moment. You are really, really pretty. Thank you, Osarian, very much. No, I mean, you are really pretty. Goodness, Osarian, what can I say? Here, have 10 gold. I didn't think you were that kind of person. She didn't take too kindly to that. But, we're already up to 149. 60? Offers refused. Alright, 157. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. There we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. And I mean it, you are super pretty. I'm busy that day, sorry. Oh, that kind of hurt.
Today?
But we're practicing our speechcraft. Kind of pushed it too far there. I am good, thank you, though. Probably wraps it for this episode. Yep, 46 minutes in. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. Next time we'll continue exploring Old Demonheart. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll check it out next time. There's so much to see and do. Brick Mason. Could we exit? Go look for scrap metal. Go look for Daedric Ruined Gems. Yes, but we're not really powerful enough for that. But hope you guys will join me anyway as we explore just more of the game in general. Thank you for watching. Hope you're digging the Let's Play. Feel free to smash the like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Those things greatly help my channel. Feel free to do them or not, whatever you like. In the meantime, guys, be well, live well, stay well. We'd love to see you guys next time. Continue the journey with me. Much love, peace, and joy. See you guys then. Take care. Bye-bye.